iHeartRadio Broadway, driven by Mercedes-Benz.
My experience on Spamalot has been incredible. It started with hearing about the company. First of all, just the creative team, Josh Rhodes and Jeffrey Finn, the producer, asking me to join it was like two people I really admire. And I had just worked with Josh on Dear World at City Center. And so I was really excited to join him again. And then this crazy company of people was just like, you can't, I couldn't create it myself any better. I mean, James, Nick Walker, Taron Killam was just, being around his mind has just been so hilarious every single day. Michael Urie is an old pal, and I just admire everybody so much. So it's like, and it just kind of came together in this really organic, really fun way, where everyone just was spitting out ideas, riding on this great material, and it just was, I mean, honestly, it was one of the most joyous experiences I've had. I did not see the original. Isn't that weird? I don't know. I think I was working a lot at that time, and for whatever reason, I didn't. But I have a kind of story, which is that I was cast in the original by Mike Nichols, and I had to turn it down because I had another gig. But I remember what got me the job was I sang a song, this old Cole Porter song. I can't remember the name of it, but it was, can I sing a little bit of it? It went, the raging sou'wester was over, it was calm and the heavens had cleared. The sails were gently flapping, the sailors all a-napping, when their hero, Captain Cosgrove, appeared. It was obvious he had been crying, and he'd seemed to have lost all his poise, as he stood there so stark, and was heard to remark, I've got something to say to you boys. I'm about to become a mother. I'm only a girl, not a boy. Years ago. And then at the end of the song, she has a baby, and I birthed a baby in the audition, like pretended to do it, like fully, like, and then sang the last note, like did this last note. And Mike Nichols in the room was like, you got it. And so I then got this part and couldn't do it. But it's so, in my kind of actor spirit, I've always been like, what would that have been like to have done that? It's not that I regret it. I don't regret, I mean, you can't, the whole life in this world is random and but I've always just like wondered what that would be like to have been a part of that experience. And so to be able to be a part of this revival and have it kind of work out so well has just been a kind of great circle thing for me. Anyway, by the way, that same song I sang for another audition for another Broadway show, and at the end of it, I birthed the baby. I did the whole thing. Nobody laughed, and the musical director came down, took me aside, and was like, "Chris, never sing that song again. It's really, really weird. It doesn't really show you off well. Just like you really can't do it." So, I don't know. Is it genius or was it a full mistake? And we'll never know. What attracted me to the role of Patsy? First of all, I had never seen the show, but of course, I knew Michael McGraw, and I had always been a fan of his and a fan of just that song that he sang. And I have had moments ever since YouTube was created where I would go and watch him sing that song every now and then, just to watch someone, a great character actor, kind of really take a song and put their spin on it and make it work. And so it's something I've always known about and considered. And so when I was asked to do it, that was the first thing that I thought of was, oh my God, I get to take on this thing that I've kind of always known about. I just thought a lot about him as I was doing it. He passed away recently, and so his kind of spirit and his professionalism and his incredible funny bones has been something I've thought a lot about. It's also just like I love I love the low status clown kind of characters who also have a kind of heart. So that's what's really fun about playing Patsy. He observes a lot. He really loves the king, and he serves him to the best of his abilities. Maybe his ability isn't very high, but he's really there. And in the darkest moment, the king turns to him and he offers up a little bit of philosophy on life, even though he's literally covered in, can we swear on this? He's covered in shit. Like literally covered in it, and completely rotted teeth and everything, and carries a huge 50-pound pack around. He's just like, look on the bright side, I kind of love that comic and heart-filled dynamic. I definitely have a little stretch and mobility routine. I am a little older than I used to be, which is weird. We all get older, which is something I'm discovering. So I definitely do some stretching. I try to release my hips, try to engage my core. I've been doing some Pilates recently, which has been helping because it's definitely very physical. But in rehearsal, it was really fun. We would just, try stuff. I have this stunt backpack where I have to fall directly onto my back three or four times. And I remember trying that for the first time and really having to have the courage to just allow the kind of padding of this backpack to catch me. And so everyone was very patient and very supportive. So we did a lot of that kind of work, and just I slowly introduced the backpack into rehearsal. I wanted to make sure I really started to get used to it before we hit the stage. So yeah, that was kind of the prep. It always involves Taron somehow. I think he kind of searches for it in a way. He loves living, I think, on the edge, and so anytime there's a blip of something, he's right there. I mean, it's always funny when he goes, "We are the knights who say," and the audience goes, "Me, me, me," and he was like, "I'm gonna say it. Let me say it." And then I don't know. He and James just start riffing on whatever. He'll say, "We want you to put on a Broadway musical, but nothing Disney." And then James, of course, was the genie in Aladdin, and then James gives him a look, and then they say something in the audience. So there's always that kind of stuff happening, and you just don't quite know where we're headed or what's gonna happen. And that's really fun to kind of live in every show, is the unknown of that. Also, I play Barbra Streisand, and doing that for the first time was very moving. We have a character in the show, Boars, who comes in to kill the rabbit. And, it's our big, let's bring in Boars, let's bring in our biggest, baddest, fighter, warrior, and he'll take care of this little rabbit. And there's some mechanism that the rabbit attacks him, and then his head pops off. And I cannot handle it. It never really works the way it's supposed to. And then one time it fell, and then it kind of hung on by a string, and then his head was swinging around, just ridiculous. Every time it's crazy. And then Taron always speaks after it, and he always stares at us, and he's like, "Look, it's hanging on by a bloody thread. Look at it, look." And he just he wants us to break. It's just so fun, and it's also just ridiculous. So that's every night I'm nervous about what's going to happen with Boars. Poor Boars. It's great. It's amazing. It's not you can't predict anything in this business. It's so. But I will say my memories of the first read through of hearing Kristen sing Popular or watching Adina sing, Wizard and I. It was jaw-dropping. They were so perfect for those parts, and they were just so dynamic. I was just so in awe of both of them. But we didn't really know, even in rehearsal, you're you don't really know what this thing is. And the first time we showed it to an audience, our first preview, those first chords came out. Boom, 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 and the Gershwin Theater shook. It just, the response from people just with those first chords was like so dynamic. It was so strong. And I just remember, I was like there, and I had like I wore a comforter almost, like to come out as like a townsperson before I became Bach later. And I just was in my little comforter going, wow, I've never experienced this. And the idea that there's somebody in that little comforter every night for the last 20 years, all over the world in different companies, feeling that same thing that I felt is just like, it blows my mind. Blows my mind. Again, another just, you know, what a lucky kind of incredible thing to have happen. Usually, like in the theater, what I love about it so much is that you're in the room together with the audience. You are sharing energy. What they're experiencing, what you're experiencing, will never happen again in that way. Again, there's something so like charged about that, and I love it. What's fun about film work is that is the same feeling, but it's like micro. You're only with your crew, and you're really distilling down a kind of the best way you can pull a scene together. And then what happens with the film is like it comes out later, and then people like say to you like a year later, like, oh my God, I loved you in that film. And you're like, wow, I'm so glad I did the work like a year ago, and now I'm getting all these goodies. Well, that's what's going on with Waitress, but I got both. I got to do the show and have that experience, and then we did this pro shot over a week, which was like, it was great. It was a cool experience, but like, I don't know, I don't think any of us thought that much further than just putting it together. And then suddenly, it has really impacted people around the country, and I'm hearing from all sorts of different people that maybe never got a chance to see it, how much having the experience in the movie theater is really impacting them. And it's kind of doing both. You get the real flavor of what we were doing on stage, and at the same time, it's shot in a way that you get close, and you get to see and feel things that maybe an audience didn't get during the live production. So anyway, it's so cool. I mean, it's a total, just like a gift to just be able to see it again in that form. And I just love the show so much, and that company, and Sarah, and everybody. So I'm really happy.
iHeartRadio Broadway, driven by Mercedes-Benz.